Hey Ubies, it's well into autumn here in the southern hemisphere, and we've finally got a few days without rain, which is awesome. We haven't had rain-free days in what feels like months, so I'm going to do some jobs in the garden, take you for a tour around. Been watching lots of YouTube videos over the week from gardeners in the northern hemisphere and feeling really excited for them for all their spring planting. But here we're well into autumn, but in the subtropics we can still get plenty of stuff growing all year round. So I'm going to plant some cooler season crops like peas and some flowers and some onions and some spinach and beetroot and a few different other things. So come and have a look around the garden. My first job is to get some peas in the ground. So I've sprouted some pea seeds a couple of weeks ago and they've all popped up. I've got a whole heap of them to grow up a pea teepee. But my first job is to dig out a random piece of comfrey that has been growing. I tend to plant the comfrey in all the corners of the garden bed because I just hack it back and chop and drop it on top of the garden bed, and it just composts away really quickly. And I just find it's really good to add in organic matter back into the garden. It grows really freely here. It loves the moist conditions. I think I missed some of the root. Oh well, I'll stick it in the ground somewhere and see if it resprouts. That's the comfrey. And these are all the peas. I've got another 2 trays of them. And there's my pea teepee. It's just some bamboo stakes in the ground. And I'll pop some twine around the bottom so the peas can grow up. So there's all the pea plants in around the pea teepee. In the middle is all the comfrey that I've chopped down. So when these guys start to grow up, I'll wind some hessian twine around for them to climb onto, and hopefully they will wiggle all the way to the top. It's a nice sunny spot here in winter. I only used one of the flats. Still got another left, and probably another one in the little greenhouse. So heaps of pea seedlings if anyone wants some. And there's the rosella, still going really well. Just wondering at what point do I harvest those things. So I think I'll put another pea teepee in down here in this corner. This garden bed used to have all my beetroot in, but because it got so waterlogged over the summer, the ground got really compacted, so I've decided to put the peas down in here. I've mixed in lots of sort of compost and all chunky sort of organic matter to try and break up the native clay soil a bit, but there's just a random bit of chives growing in there, a cabbage plant that's been eaten by a moth. I put some of that detritus dust, I think it's called, on it to try and get rid of the moth, and it seems to work quite well. It's like an organic kind of solution. Because of all the rain, I have to keep it up all the time. There's a random butternut pumpkin which I didn't plant, but it's popped up. So, you know, survival of the fittest. If it wants to grow, I'll let it. And there's some random tomato seedlings that I'll dig out. They won't do any well down here because it's too shady, but I'm going to go put in my pea teepee. So this is the advantage of just investing a bit of time and energy into your soil. So you can see how my soil here is really going really well now that I've dug in all that compost after all the rain. See all the worms? See how nice and fluffy it's getting? I started with solid clay like 2 years ago. All of this was just, there's still a fair bit of clay in there, but you can see lots of organic matter is mixed in there with it. So even though we've had all this rain, it's still doing really well now that I've dug a bit more organic matter in on top of it. But it does take a while to nurture your soil, but it's worth it. Guys, do yourself a favour and get one of these things. I think it's called a dibbler, and it's really good just for making holes in the ground. You just stick it in, give it a wiggle, and you've got a hole. There's no digging. Put your plant in. How easy is that? Love it. Where's it been all my life? There you go. Another pea teepee. Gave the chives a haircut, and I just moved those random cabbage plants towards the front, so the peas have got somewhere to grow. Okay, on to the next job. Oh, and my little lemon tree. See? It's got lemons. And bugs, but there is some lemons. The spare dog has finally crashed out. I just wonder if he ever sleeps. And the heavy breather, she's still with us. So a really good idea when you're planting seeds is to label them. Don't think that you'll remember, because I have no idea what's planted in there. I planted a whole heap of seeds, other than the peas. I have no idea what the rest of it is. Oh well, I'll put it in the ground and I suppose I'll find out. So this is all the garlic I planted about a month ago, 5 weeks ago. Looks like it's going all right. I don't know whether I put it in too early, but it's had plenty of chance to grow before the cold weather. So hopefully it goes all right. Just all hardneck varieties this year. And I've just had a cover on it to stop any bugs, but it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. I haven't had to water it or do anything. Just put the cloves in the ground, covered them up, and that's it. I've got like a random fennel plant growing in there, but they're all looking good. So I planted this echinacea in summer, and just this one little plant is still blooming. A lot of the flowers are almost spent, but I wanted to try and save the seeds because I've loved this plant. So I've got a couple of the old seed heads I'm going to dry. I'm just going to leave them here to dry and then put them inside where it's dry and a bit dark, and I'll see if I get any seeds. And one of them was really crispy, so I've sprinkled that in this garden bed to see if they'll sprout next spring. The echinacea is beautiful. I've cut back this comfrey in the corner of the beds. It'll grow back in a few weeks, and I just sort of lay it all over the garden beds to add that organic matter. And up the back there I've got 4 random cherry tomato plants that I'm going to try and overwinter. See how they go. It's quite sunny in this spot, so you never know, they might do all right. And that's my sweet peas at the back, starting to climb up the terrace. So this garden bed has some brassicas planted. I don't even know what they are. I think they're cauliflower or something. And I've got the sweet peas growing at the back. So because I've got the insect netting cage over this, I'm going to put some who-flung dung on the garden beds as just a bit of a mulch cover over winter to feed the plants and to keep the dogs out. I'll put the cover back over the top because they love who-flung dung. They like to eat it. And I'll also put some new dust on the plant just to keep the snails, slugs and moths off them. And so hopefully in a couple of months time I'll have sweet pea flowers, and you never know, I might get a brassica or 2. Fingers crossed. For the first time this year I grew rosella, and I'm going to make some jam. I think the calyxes are ready to pick. There's still plenty of flowers and developing ones on the plant, but this plant has just got massive now with all of those rosellas. So what I'm going to do is these bigger ones, I'm going to pick all of them and going to turn them into jam. Wish me luck. So guess what? It started to rain. Surprise, surprise. All right, I'm going inside to make jam.